Why does Real Madrid play better with a specialist center forward? And why can Gonzalo Garcia make Mbappé even more dangerous than before? Last night, Real Madrid beat Betis 5-1 without Mbappé. Many people might be asking themselves why Real Madrid plays better when Mbappé isn't in the lineup. Watch this video until the end so I can give you the answer to this question. Hi guys, I'm Hamid, and in this video, we're going to analyze together why, with Gonzalo Garcia's presence, Real's attacking line plays more logically, more smoothly, and more dangerously, and why this not only isn't against Mbappé, but could actually be the best news of the season for Mbappé himself. First of all, let's talk about the match itself. Gonzalo Garcia completed a hat-trick against Betis, a goal with his head, a goal with his right foot, and a goal with his left foot. But what's even more interesting is that Gonzalo Garcia achieved that hat-trick with an XG of just 1.17. That means not only did every one of his shots turn into a goal, but he also scored goals that weren't even clear-cut chances. One of his goals could honestly be Real Madrid's goal of the season. But the point that perhaps few analysts talk about is that yes, Real won 5-1, but to be honest, after our team went 3-0 up, we still saw that drop in intensity during the game. Suddenly the lines would get stretched, the pressing from the front would drop off, and Betis managed to get back into the game. They scored a goal and even hit the post once, and if that shot had gone in, the game could have been 3-2 and then Real would have been in real trouble. This is still a clear weakness in the Real team. When they go ahead, they ease off and no longer play with the same intensity as before. If you paid attention to the goal we conceded, Asensio was just standing there and it didn't even occur to him to quickly get back and help. And we've seen this issue in our team's defensive play over and over again this season. We usually have one good half and one bad half, or 30 good minutes and 15 bad minutes. This inconsistency during the game is both annoying and could completely destroy us against big teams. Now let's move on to the most important part of the story, which is Gonzalo Garcia's role in the team. Who do you think Gonzalo was playing like last night? Yes, he was playing like Karim Benzema, dropping back and holding up the ball. He became the bridge between the midfielders, making it easier for them to link up with each other. He participated in the press and really kept the opposing defenders busy, and that's one of Gonzalo Garcia's special qualities. It's been a long time since Real had a true striker who doesn't just wait for the ball but also creates space for others. Real defended without the ball in a 4-4-2 formation, a system that Xabi Alonso is really fond of, but with the ball the story was completely different. Vinicius and Rodrygo were not classic wingers. In last night's game, they kept coming inside, and this made Real form something like a box in the center of the pitch, a concept we've talked about many times in previous videos, and I'll discuss it again now. That is, four Real players would line up together in the center of the field and take control of the game. In fact, that central box for Real was formed by Tchouaméni and Camavinga at the back, with Bellingham and Rodrygo up front. Vinicius and Valverde provided width to the game outside the box, and Joselu helped make this box effective by pinning or occupying the defenders. This box system is exactly the one that Alonso is really fond of, and as I mentioned, it has worked very well in Europe. Alonso is testing it in most matches and it usually works. When Betis defended, they very intelligently closed off the inside channels. In other words, they didn't allow through balls to reach the attacking third, that is, to Bellingham, Rodrygo, or Valverde. So what was the result? The flanks became completely open. On the left side, Vinicius and Carvajal. On the right side, Valverde and Rodrygo. That's why most of Real's attacking weight in last night's game came from the flanks. Here we come to the crux of the matter, Mbappé and Gonzalo Garcia. Both are strikers, but their playing styles are completely different. Gonzalo Garcia engages the defenders. He plays with his back to the goal and creates space for other players. But Mbappé is a player who uses space. He's explosive and deadly in exploiting the space behind the defense. So, what has Real's problem been all this time? It definitely hasn't been Mbappe's fault. The problem has been that Mbappé hasn't had a true center forward alongside him. Let's move on to analyzing the goals. For the first goal, as you can see, Gonzalo first pretends he's going inside. Then suddenly he changes direction and gets free behind the defender. Do you think that's just luck? No, not at all. That's reading the space and timing, something that's in the DNA of a true striker. For the next goal, Gonzalo Garcia is running toward the far post, but at the very last moment, he changes direction and goes to the near post to score his goal. Camavinga was once again outstanding in midfield. 95% pass accuracy. The double pivot of Tchouaméni and Camavinga has restored the team's balance. Whenever Camavinga is in the lineup, Real plays much better and more fluidly. Our midfield becomes more dynamic because unlike Tchouaméni, who is more defensive, and Bellingham, who tends to push forward more, is a player who contributes a lot both defensively and offensively. The future midfield line of Real is completely clear: Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Bellingham. Rodrygo once again with 2 assists, precise crosses, and another solid performance. Let me remind you again that many had turned against him, and it's great that he came back to prove that football players aren't robots. They go through slumps and need to be given time. Vini was booed again, even though he didn't play badly. His goalless streak still continues, and it's really strange. He's definitely under a lot of mental pressure. He shook hands with Alonso, but it was clear he wasn't satisfied. I hope his contract situation gets resolved as soon as possible. Vini has shown his potential many times. He just needs to be able to handle the pressure of being at Real Madrid. A lot of people at some point in their careers haven't been able to manage this pressure, guys. A Real Madrid fan isn't someone you can mess with. Right here in this stadium, even Gareth Bale, who had a much more impressive career than Vini, became hated and was booed. So Vini really needs to control himself and get back to his good form. Of course, I'm still a fan of his. Arda Güler came on as a substitute and once again delivered a pass at a European level. But in my opinion, in matches that require more physical engagement and defensive work, it's better for him to stay on the bench for now. Asensio also scored his first goal for Real. Overall, it wasn't bad except for the goal we conceded and a few moments where he looked really slow. Carvajal's return can also be seen as one of the positives of the match, as he was on the bench, and the issue of injuries at Real, which has really become a crisis over the past couple of seasons, needs to be managed somehow. Having this many injuries really isn't normal, and in a lot of matches we've suffered from not having players in their specialized positions. So Real isn't better off without Mbappé. Real is better with a specialized center forward, and if Mbappé can take advantage of the spaces that Gonzalo García creates for him, he could be even more dangerous than before. If you enjoyed this analysis, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments. Where do you think Mbappé should play to be most effective? As a center forward or as a second striker alongside Gonzalo Garcia? Take care of yourselves until the next video.